Hey, good morning, viewers. Welcome back to Pop-Up's Horsepower Shop. Got Project S10 here. What we got going on today is going to be changing the fuel pump and the electric fuel pump in the tank. I have the truck's been running good. Some issues when it's cold and it wants more fuel. It struggles a little bit. So I put a fuel pressure tester on it, and it's only showing about 8-9 psi, and these TBI should be 10, 11, 12, especially with the V8. Needs a little more. Like I said, just cruising along with no load runs fine, no issues. It's when it's demanding more fuel, it's just not quite getting it. So what we got, we're just going to replace the pump, just this wee little thing here. The assembly of it's okay, the gauge and everything works. So this is a Delphi FE0114. Now this one is from a 1996 Chevy 1500 with the 305. And the difference is this fuel pump will run at 30 to 40 PSI. Now the TBI in this truck is regulated, so it should only be about 11 or 12 PSI. But if I need to change fuel pressure, all I have to do is change the spring in the diaphragm and the TBI, and I could bump it up 14, 15, up to 18 PSI just by changing the spring. So anyway, I have no idea how old the pump's in that one, so it could be original. So we got that. We got a new stringer for it, and I also got a new lock ring and O-ring. So stick around, I'll show you how we do this, and we'll see how it goes. So my plan is, being it's just me working on it, what I'm going to do is, you can do it two ways. You can either drop the tank and do it that way, or people have removed the bed, tilted the bed, and get it from the top, which it's a Florida truck. The tank straps probably will come undone, but getting to the connectors at the top of the tank is probably a little difficult. So I am going to go for the option to tilt the front of the bed up. So what we got here in the filler neck is there are, let's see if I can show it in there. There are 3, looks like 7mm head screws. That'll take the filler neck out. It'll let it slide out from the fuel door area. Make sure you take the cap off. I'm going to stick a rag in there just to keep anything from going in. And then under the bed, which I'll see if I can show you as I can, there should be 8 bolts that hold this bed on. So there should be 2 up here in the front half, 2 in the back. What I'm going to do, I'm going to remove the 6 forward bolts and leave the back 2 loosened, but just, halfway in. That way I can get a jack under here, tilt the front of this bed up, and change the fuel pump. So that's the plan, and we'll see how it goes from there. I got the front end up on ramps. I got the back jacked up, sitting on jack stands. Plenty of room to get underneath there, and we'll see if we can get these bolts out. They should be 15mm socket. I'll put them on the impact, and I'll let you know if there's plenty of videos that show how to do that, so I don't know if I'll show much. If there's anything that's tricky that we need to know, I'll bring you along and show you what we got. Okay, so I sprayed the bolts down with some PB Blaster just to let them soak in a little bit, but let me show you where we're at. So here's the front of the bed. So right under there, if you can see it, you can see it's wet. There's the front bolt. There's the next one. All right, so I got all the bolts out. The back 2 are just about out halfway. One quick note, the back 2 bolts, I could not get to them with my impact and socket. My leaf spring is actually in the way of the one, and the roll pan on mine is in the way of the other one, so I just got in there with a ratchet and was able to break them loose that way. Now, if your truck's not lowered and you have a stock bumper on it, it may be different. You may be able to get them with the impact, but it wasn't too big a deal. So now what I got Just sitting down on some blocks in the back. I got the jack under this side with a block of wood. We're going to slowly try to lift the bed, and we'll see how that goes. Fuel is unhooked in here. Adjust this a little bit. Well, it is going up. I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to check, make sure we're not pulling any ground wires or anything like that. All right, nothing seems to be in the way. We're going to have to rethink my setup here a little bit. Let me see if I can bring you along here and show you what it looks like underneath. So there is the top of the fuel tank. Yeah, I still want to try to get this up a little more, then I'll get some jack stands under the front of the bed. But so far, it's not going too bad. All right, so I have it jacked up. I've got blocks of wood. I got a couple jack stands under it. Got it blocked up there. Safety's the key here. We don't want this thing falling down when we got our arms stuck in there. But it should be, like I said, I got blocks of wood. And as an absolute fail-safe, I've got that hooked up at least to my garage door, which isn't going to hold it necessarily, but it might be just long enough to get my hands and head out of there if in case something happened. But this thing's pretty solid. It don't seem to be going anywhere. You know, it's redundant as far as the thing. So there is the top of the fuel pump. We got to get all those connectors off. This blue and red wire looks like they're power. These two go to the ground. And I'm gonna get that blown off, and I'm gonna get a nylon brush, clean that off as best as I can. Try to keep anything from falling down in there. This one looks like it is a screw fitting. The other one looks like it is just a vent hose. We'll get them off. Not sure about that one. We'll figure that one out. Let's get it cleaned up and see what it looks like from there. I apologize for any noise. I have this just sitting at the end of my garage, being I'm working with gas fumes. Doors open, so let's take off these hose clamps. The new pump did come with a new piece of fuel line, but I believe it has some plastic clamps. I think I might reuse these clamps again. I just trust that a whole lot more. There we go. So get that slid up the whole way. That is loose. Let's see if we can get this old strainer off. Yeah, if you're going to do this when you're ordering it, get a new strainer. They're only about, I don't know, $4 or something like that. This should, in theory, just pry off. There it goes. This side. There we go. Slide this out. It also comes with a new rubber mount. And it's got one electrical clip. Try to be very careful, and I don't want to break this clip, so I'm just taking my time. And there we go. Like I said, I believe this pump's a little weak. Like I said, it's only putting 8, maybe 9 psi. And I said for you know, the 4.3 stock, probably not an issue. But for the 305, we're going to give it a little more fuel. Like I said, it comes with a new piece of hose. So using the old rubber insulator, go ahead and stick that on the pump. Get it down in the grooves. Slid the fuel line down. That's in. And I've got a brand new AC Delco fuel strainer. I got it off of Rock Auto. There's the part. Now you see a little cleaner than the other one. This appeared that it just went. There we go. Push on, you hear a little pop. That is on. Turn it just a little bit if I can. Reinstall the electrical connector. Go ahead and I'm going to tighten these 2 hose clamps back up. I have a new snap ring for on top. We're going to put that on and get it back in the truck, and we'll see if this thing will start. As you can see, it's all put together. Got the hose clamps back on, this on. What I'm going to do next, I'm going to clean the top of this up. A little brake clean, nylon brush. I've got a new lock ring put on, new O-ring. We'll get this cleaned up and get it ready to sit back into the truck. All right, whoops. See if I can get you where you can see. Fuel pump goes in about this way. There's actually notches that these will slide in, so it can actually only fit one way. New snap ring on, new O-ring, cleaned up inside here, and just gonna be very careful. Get the float down in. All right, as you can see, everything is back in and hooked up. That little the locking ring is kind of a pain to get to. You got to get it lined up just right. There's three tabs that are in the fuel tank. You got to get the flat spots lined up in there, and once you get that down, you just tap it around about, I don't know, maybe 1/8 of a turn, and that locks everything in nice and tight. I got all the wires hooked back up, and as you can see, I figured this would be a good easy place to attach my fuel pressure tester. So I just plugged into the pressure line here. So like I said, we were at 8-9 pounds before. And let me turn you here, and we are going to see what we got. There we go. Key on. Pump is running, and it looks like we were on about 11. Now we're definitely on the pump just shut off. So it looks like we're on about 11. Let's fire it up. Check for leaks. right, I do not see any leaks. I am going to unhook the fuel pressure gauge, hook it back up, and then get the bed lower back down and see if I get this button back up. All right, so we got the bed back down, bolted up. No big deal on that one. Like I said, the biggest thing was that little lock ring on top of the fuel pump. You got to get it under the tabs just right. Give it a turn. That's all locked in. So it's all bolted up. No leaks. Next thing, I'm going to take it for a drive. I'm going to get some data on it and see if my fuel trims show a little on the richer side. Hopefully it makes a difference. You know, like I was saying before, like, you know, that was like a 40 psi pump, but it was only showing 12 on the gauge. Well, that's the fuel pressure regulator. They have a spring inside in the throttle body, and 12's probably where it's supposed to be stock. And so we're gonna run it like that. If I need to up the fuel pressure a little bit, you can buy stiffer springs. You can buy 14, 15 pounds and 17 and 18 pound pressure springs. So it definitely will shoot the fuel there at a higher pressure. Not real scientific, but just looking at it at idle, watching the fuel come out of the injectors with just, you know, the 3 more pounds of pressure, it definitely looked like it was more of a nice cone shape coming out. And when you give it some throttle, you know, it really looks like it blasts a nice real fine spray pattern compared to, I don't think it quite was as nice before. So we're going to take it for a run, and I'll give you an update. Hopefully everything runs well. Maybe I can advance the timing a little bit. This thing does like a little bit advanced timing, but it was I think it was trying to run out of fuel. So without touching the timing, we're going to see if it runs better, and then we're going to go from there. Anyway, I hope that helps anyone. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment below, and I'll talk to you next time. So I wanted to just do a follow-up after replacing the fuel pump. The truck did run a little bit better, so I got to thinking, hey, let's try a little stiffer spring. So I got on Amazon and I found a 14 to 15 psi spring. I replaced that spring in the fuel pressure regulator and put it in, and that actually dropped my fuel trims down to real close to where they're supposed to be. This OBD1, this uses the integrator and the block learn method, or whatever it's BLM, whatever it's called, and it should be around 128. At idle, I was around 145, and when I added the higher fuel pressure, it dropped it down to 131. So that's pretty good. It helped tremendously when it runs cold. The truck runs pretty good now, but I just want to give you a heads up that bumping the fuel pressure up even a little more than what it was definitely made a big difference. Thanks for watching.